What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of The 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment-related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. Before we get into the official show for the day, guys, I wanted to go ahead and talk about some of the little recent changes I've made to the show. So you guys know, the 8 Below Show was started as a gaming show, and it's kind of evolved. We've had segments of, different shows throughout the course of the history of the 8 Below Show. We've had segments that are where we talk about other things regarding, celebrities, people that are influencers in the YouTube game, and even movies. And so starting today, guys, I'm actually going to be starting a new segment of the 8 Below Show where we talk about a review, that being like a movie review, a game review, trailer review. I think it's really important that we get into this space as well. Now that more and more movies are going to become available on streaming services, I think it was a great opportunity to at least start doing some movie reviews, and we're going to start doing that here today with this first segment of the show where we talk about Malignant. So let's get into it. So Malignant, guys, is the newest title by James Wan, and it's really interesting because James Wan had stated when he made The Conjuring 2, or I should say directed The Conjuring 2, that he wanted to scare the world one last time, and then he was going to move on to Aquaman, and he started making other movies, Furious 7, and so on and so forth. And so everyone in the horror community thought that James Wan was done making horror movies. I had thought to myself that he probably is gonna, he's kind of moving on, and maybe he'll come back and be like an executive producer, or just produce and help write other future, horror films. And I thought it was a real blow to the horror community because James Wan is so talented at what he does in the horror space. He's a great director overall, don't get me wrong. But that being said, his specialty is horror, and it's not even close. When we look at Saw, when we look at Insidious, and all the different movies, one after the next, he has really become, he's made a name for himself really in the horror genre, but he's also moving in this direction that if he continued making horror movies, he could definitely be considered one of the greatest horror directors of all time. And I think he's certainly up there already, guys, based on the different types of and styles of these horror movies he's made. Some so iconic, right? Well, Malignant is the newest one, guys. It's actually based on an original story, which was from James Wan. The film stars Annabelle Wallis as a woman who begins to have visions of people getting murdered, only to realize the events are happening in real life. So it's a very interesting concept, guys, and I gotta tell you, there's a number of moments throughout this movie that are very unnerving. Certainly, the reveal at the very end is very interesting as well. That being said, though, this story really it doesn't waste much time, right? James Wan does a really good job in this movie of picking up the suspense very quickly, and it doesn't waste any time, trying to kind of build up its story and such. Now, that hurts in certain areas, and it also helps areas as well. One of the things, guys, that I had a complaint about with this movie is there's a lot of, horror cliches in this movie. That being, just as an example, there's a dark hallway, and people are like exploring those dark hallways. It's like, yo, don't go down that hallway. Don't open that door. Don't walk through that passageway. And yet the character does end up ultimately doing it. The characters in Malignant are very interested in what's happening, or they're very curious, and curiosity killed the cat, right? So a lot of curious people that are characters in this movie that just kind of feel very cliche. They also feel like unrealistic, because if you saw something, most likely you're not going to explore it in the, in the dark trenches of this world. And so that being said, outside of some of the cliches that are in this title, I've got to tell you, overall, this movie is really a fun time. It's a great film, I think. From an acting perspective, I thought the acting was great. I even thought, guys, that, when we look at, some of the horror elements and the set pieces are very well done. You can also tell, guys, that Malignant was a title that certainly had a nice sized budget behind it. They did some CGI, a lot of things that were, more real effects that they had as well, though. They did a lot, and I think that James Wan is the best in the world at creating, these set pieces that are, building up the scares, right? He doesn't do a lot of fake scares. For the most part, they are all real scares, right? Like things that are really happening. It's not a lot of, the character ends up turning and then their friend's right there or something. It's more of, if that character turns and something is there, it's actually like a real scare. It's not these fake scares that you see in so many horror movies nowadays. Now, that being said, guys, this title overall is very well done. I'm going to give it, guys, a 7.5 out of 10. At the end of the day, guys, there's a couple of cliches, but there's a lot of great things to be had in this. And I've got to tell you, we're not going to get into spoilers regarding, Malignant and, what happens at the very end of the movie. But I got to tell you, from my perspective, this, once again, is James Wan at his best when it comes to horror, where he knows the audience that he's going in for, kind of building up here. And then, of course, wants to create this into another franchise, right? He wants Malignant to be like Insidious, like Saw, where it's built from here. And sure, he started it. He's probably not going to direct any of the other sequels to Malignant, but he's starting it, and now it's going to be up to others to kind of take that torch that he's passing off to continue the legacy now of what they're trying to do here with Malignant. I thought overall it was a really great movie, guys. I think it's a great horror movie. You should definitely check it out without a doubt. And, there were a couple of moments throughout the movie where the question kept on coming up, as I'm watching it. Is this tied into the Conjuring universe, or is it tied into, Insidious in some way or another? You kept on wondering, are we going to see like a reveal that's going to tell us, wow, this is actually in that world? And no, guys, this is a movie that's going to stand on its own unless they try to kind of branch it into one of his other horror universes that he started. But I think there's definitely this mindset or this vision for Malignant that they want this to be a long-withstanding franchise. But with that being said, guys, what did you all think of Malignant? Have you seen it yet? What did you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below, and let's have a real conversation about it. And for more movie reviews, stay here with Zero TV. Ark II has got me intrigued, guys, because the first Ark I had a number of issues with, right? There was a number of problems that at least, when I played Ark, and just kind of from the bugs and the glitches and things of that nature. Sure, Ark, over time, they've really tried to update and make it as good as possible, and a lot of people are really excited for Ark II. I am excited about this title because of guys like Vin Diesel being involved. It's very interesting to me. I think that, it could really come off as incredibly corny, but at the same time, it could actually really be something that takes the series to the next level. So I want to talk, guys, about Ark II and everything that we know at this point in time. We can talk about it, break it down, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So with that being said, guys, this is an article written by Shara McKinano of OMG Gamer. Ark II release date is due in 2022, and it is the sequel of Ark I. What made the concluded Game Awards 2020 more surprising is perhaps the announcement made to the public that a sequel to the successful game Ark Survival Evolved is coming, which will be called Ark II. So, what even made the fans more perplexed was the humble revelation of the game trailer that featured the one and only Vin Diesel combating monsters in the jungle. So, very interesting, guys. Obviously, a lot of people, there was, mixed reactions to seeing Vin Diesel. There was mixed reactions seeing even a sequel to Ark Survival Evolved. That being said, Ark's received plenty of love from players all over the world since its release. The first part of the game, Ark Survival Evolved, was introduced by Studio Wildcard and Instinct Games last August 29th of 2017. After over 2 years of early success, since then, a lot of game expansions was developed. Now, look, guys, I'm one of the people that was not really into the first Ark. Like I said, I had a number of issues on my end from bugs and glitches and such, which really tampered or hurt the experience for me, but I know a lot of you out there really enjoyed the first game. After the announcement of the sequel of the game, which is the Ark II, it is anticipated that the survival concept of the game shall continue with more exciting activities and difficulties in the game. It is expected that players will experience more antagonizing events and more perilous environments, which I'm really, really excited about. But the big part of this, guys, is, okay, the story here. So where are they trying to go here with the story, especially having Vin Diesel as kind of like the focal point? Is this more of a marketing ordeal where they're trying to be able to market Ark II really well by like slapping Vin Diesel in the midst of it? Or is this more something from a story perspective? They really wanted to have, voice actors that are really good, proven that they can see, kind of just the evolution of this project in this franchise. After Studio Wildcard reveals to the public the game, along with its official trailer, fans of the game have been tightly looking forward to more revelations. Though there are no follow-up announcements yet after the game, plenty of hints can be extracted from the trailer. Ark II is now hailed as the next-generation sandbox game that will give every player a one-of-a-kind survival experience together with the lead game character Vin Diesel, which will portray Santiago. Though it is expected it will be like a whole expansion of the first series, however, this time around, players can expect that there will be Morlock-esque creatures to contend more with. In addition to that, additional ferocious dinosaurs are expected and more innovative story. So overall, guys, I'm very excited to see where they go with this, right? The first Ark had its characters, had its, enemies, of course, landscapes. What I'm really looking forward to with Ark II, though, is I'm hoping to see a continued evolution of this. More, dinosaurs and more creatures that you're going up against and monsters, more landscapes. We want there to be similarities, but certainly differences as well. Ark, the first game had, kind of set a standard. And so now with Ark II, it really needs to raise the bar. It needs to go to that next level, whether you're talking new characters, which we're certainly getting new characters, new enemies. We want to see some existing characters, though, existing enemies that we had from, from the first game come into Ark II, because I think that's going to be really important as we look moving forward. So while there is no official list of characters in the game, the involvement of the Fast and Furious star Vin Diesel is quite the talk of the town. He will be playing the character of a pilot under the name Santiago da Costa, leading the charge for players. So it is said that Studio Wildcard will reveal more characters soon. Meantime, players are just overwhelmed by the involvement of the Fast and Furious star. As far as the release date, guys, the release of the game is still unknown to everyone, as Studio Wildcard did not input any sort of data regarding the Ark II release date. However, on the last 14th of December of 2020, a blog from Microsoft was published revealing that Ark II is scheduled to be officially released to the public in the year 2022. So, the game is tagged as a launch exclusive title like the first game series. It can be anticipated that the game is playable on Xbox and PC. However, PlayStation users should not be entirely agitated, as later across access might be given access a year after the launching of the game. So obviously, guys, Ark II is going to be exclusive to Xbox because of Microsoft. Now, those folks that are hoping that it comes to PlayStation, I wouldn't hold your breath, guys. I think Microsoft is really taking this aggressive approach where they want to have these exclusive titles only exclusive to Xbox, so that you get the Xbox and Xbox Game Pass, so on and so forth. Especially when they bought out Bethesda, there's a number of those titles I believe that will also be exclusive to Xbox, which should get a lot of people actually to end up moving over to Xbox at the end of the day. So that being said, guys, the trailer is really good. I thought that the trailer was pretty awesome. There's a number of rumors, guys. It is still not certain for everyone what to expect in the game, as even the story remains exclusive. However, fans are assuming already that a great story shall be led by the revealed character Santiago, which pivotal role will be played by Vin Diesel. So very exciting stuff, guys, to say the least. I think there's a lot that there's a lot that we know, but there's a lot that we don't, right? There's a lot of mystery surrounding this title, and I think that is certainly Studio Wildcard wanting to obviously keep some secrecy there. They don't want to show everything at once, but what we've seen so far, I'm really intrigued, guys. I really am. If the early footage is anything, like really kind of reveals anything, I'm excited for this. I think that if this is what's to come, I'm really excited about the title, where it could be going, and how it could very well be relatively different than the first Ark, which I'm really excited about. I just want Studio Wildcard to take their time, though. Don't release the game too soon. Make sure that you have plenty of time to make sure that all the bugs, the glitches, the issues that could come up, because it's inevitable. It happens with every game, guys. There's going to be issues that come up at some point along the journey, but it's just about really getting rid of those issues as quickly as possible to make sure that it doesn't hurt the experience for us, players, because then if we end up having a bunch of issues, well, like myself with the first Ark, I ended up after having a number of issues trying to, continue trying to play, right? And just trying to force it. I got sick of it and ended up moving on to other games. So I'm just hoping that Ark II keeps us locked in to the experience. But let me know, guys, what do you all think about Ark II? Are you excited about it? Are you kind of skeptical? Let me know in the comment section down below, and let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Ark II content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Hitman is a franchise that is iconic, guys, to gaming, right? If you were to go and say, the top 10, characters of all time in video games that are so beloved, I mean, you got to think to yourself, Agent 47's got to be up there on that list of characters, along with, Master Chief and Mario and a number of these other characters. You got to be thinking to yourself, oh yeah, Agent 47, what an iconic series to say the least. Well, guys, there's been a ton of talk about the future of this franchise. Where could it be going moving forward? Especially based on the success of some of these previous installments more recently in the Hitman franchise. So let's talk about it, guys. Hitman 4. Will there be a Hitman 4? Or is IO Interactive going to move on to other things? Let's talk about it. So, guys, this is an article that was written by Just Lunning of Inverse. Hitman 3 isn't the end of the franchise at all. Hitman 3 is a literal killer app. Players tear through the world as a bald assassin called Agent 47, murdering targets in the most creative ways possible. After a certain point in the game, the killing comes to a close and the credits roll. Does the saga of Hitman conclude with Hitman 3? Possibly, but there's also a lot of evidence to suggest Agent 47's journey could continue. So, let's talk about it. We don't currently have a release date for Hitman 4 because it has not yet to be announced. Since the franchise returned in 2016, a new Hitman game has been released by IO Interactive every 2 years. Now, let's talk about this really quick to give some context. What's next for IO Interactive? Well, we all know, guys, that Project 007 is being worked on by IO Interactive, which should technically be the next game that they work on. Now, obviously, guys, could their efforts be totally all in on James Bond, and they just want to work on James Bond moving forward, like they do Project 007, then they do another James Bond, then another one, because of the popularity of James Bond just as a whole? Or will they go back and forth between James Bond and Hitman? That's where what it really comes down to in my mind. We likely won't get another game in the next 2 years. Hitman 3 was considered the conclusion of the World of Assassination saga that began with Hitman in 2016. The last time a trilogy ended there was a 6-year break from the franchise, followed by a one-off game called Hitman Absolution, which was followed by a 4-year hiatus. In December 2020, IO Interactive Creative Officer Christian Elverdam confirmed to Game Informer that Hitman 3 wasn't the end of the lauded franchise at all. He also confirmed that the franchise was on an indefinite hiatus so the studio could enjoy new creative avenues like working on their upcoming James Bond game. So taking these factors into account helps us understand when a new Hitman game could debut. In an interview with Danish publication DR, IO Interactive studio head Hakan Abrak said that the James Bond game could be a trilogy and will likely require a massive staff expansion from IO Interactive. Today, we are 200 employees, and I expect that we will be over 400 employees over the next few years, said Albrecht. If IO Interactive is basically doubling their staff for the James Bond trilogy, we can either assume that it means James Bond will be massive or that they're working on 2 games at once. Perhaps the first James Bond will come out in 2 years, then take 6 years to finish the trilogy as Hitman did, but before IO Interactive debuts James Bond's conclusion, they announce a new Hitman trilogy, returning us to the world of Agent 47. This would place Hitman 4's release date around 2025 or 2026. So, look, there's no leaks, guys, regarding Hitman 4. Of course, no trilogy, but there are a number of spoilers in Hitman 3, so we're going to go over some spoilers here, guys. But let me just give you kind of my thoughts here as to what I think is most likely to happen here. I think IO Interactive is going to be all in on James Bond. Now, if Project 007, whatever it ends up being called, guys, if it flops and doesn't do really well, then I would say they will definitely go back to Agent 47 and Hitman 4 a lot sooner. But if they plan on doing a trilogy, yes, I would say, guys, that we're looking at probably 2025, 2026, or even further than that, maybe up to 2030 till we see another Hitman title. So, Hitman 3 has two potential endings. In the first ending, Agent 47 tears through a shady agency called Providence, taking it down with help from his longtime handler, Burnwood. After this, Agent 47 hangs up his silenced pistol for a while. In an epilogue that takes place a year later, Burnwood calls Agent 47 to ask if he'd be interested in an assassination job. Of course, Agent 47 responds yes, setting up a sequel for Burnwood and 47 to be back on the assassination grind together. In the second ending, Agent 47 fails to take down Providence and instead winds up getting his memories erased. After a short black screen, Agent 47 wakes up in a padded room as somebody says to him, "Wake up, my friend. It's the dawn of a new day and you have things to do." Sure, the voice could be talking about a chore Agent 47 needs to do, like dishes, like diehard fans will recognize the situation as a parallel to how the first Hitman game opened with Agent 47 as an amnesic killing machine. No matter the ending you get, there are certainly more killings to be had in the world of Hitman. You just might just have to wait a few years to see them arrive. And I agree. You know, best case scenario, guys, is we get another title, Hitman 4, coming right after Project 007. Most likely, though, we're going to get, you know, a few James Bond titles. We're probably going to at least get 2 of them, and then you'll probably see Hitman at some point after that. Or maybe IO Interactive wants to kind of split the team up, have them working on multiple projects at once. That is something as well to kind of think about. But that being said, guys, Hitman 4 I do believe is going to come at some point in the foreseeable future, but it probably won't be anytime soon. Let me know what you guys think, though, in the comment section down below. Do you want to see a Hitman 4, or are you satisfied with the way the third one ended? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Hitman 4 content in videos, stay here with Zero TV. One of my most anticipated movies of the year is Dune, guys. Denis Villeneuve is an incredible director, and I gotta tell you, I've been really excited about this. Now, I didn't see the first Dune movie. I plan on going back and watching that one, but this certainly has really piqued my interest for this world and this franchise as a whole, and I'm really excited to see it. That being said, I want to talk about everything that we know so far about Dune. We can break it down, guys, as we've gotten more trailers and things of that nature. We can talk about it. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So, guys, this is an article that's coming to us from Casey Cooper Stotler of Collider. Grab your still suit. We're going to Arrakis. Denis Villeneuve's Dune, adapted from Frank Herbert's epic science fiction saga. It's one of the most anticipated films of 2021, and for good reason. With an all-star cast of veterans and newcomers alike, a film score composed by none other than Hans Zimmer, and a riveting space opera plot sure to create a whole new generation of die-hard fans. Dune is projected to be one of the year's biggest blockbusters. As Dune fans ourselves here at Collider, we can't wait to see our favorite elements from the novels play out on the big screen. So, guys, if you haven't seen the trailers, watch the trailers. The trailers are absolutely stunning. But let's talk really quick, guys, about the of course, you know, just like the story, the release date, and things of that nature. So, after many change dates, the release for Dune has again been pushed back, now to October 22nd, 2021. In a controversial move, Warner Brothers agreed to release Dune on their streaming service, HBO Max, on the same day the film will hit theaters. As of right now, that plan still stands. Dune will be released in theaters and on HBO Max on October 22nd. So, here's what I will say, guys, about it going to HBO Max as well as to theaters. It's almost like an out with the old, in with the new. Okay, look, I went to film school, guys. I went to film school at the New York Film Academy. Did a short-term program there. I absolutely love filmmaking, and if I wasn't able to do YouTube videos and create content for you guys here on YouTube, I would be creating it definitely in some way, shape, or form. As far as like in filmmaking world, I love doing short films and such with my friends and doing all of that. But YouTube's really been able to keep me kind of connected to that world, the movie world. And here's what I'll tell you guys. The thing is that I love the movie going experience at the movie theaters. The problem though, guys, is that it is slowly but surely we're moving away from movie theaters, because you can almost create your own theater in your own home, at the comfort of your own home. And so HBO Max, what Warner Brothers sees is the future here. They're seeing that, okay, movie theaters will not be something that is necessarily relevant long term. Obviously, because of the pandemic, we saw that, and now the streaming services certainly coming in. Really, when Netflix started this, it started this trend moving in a direction that we kind of can see what's going to happen. At some point or another, movies will not be relevant anymore. It's kind of like what Tesla did. They changed and disrupted the automobile space. Right now, everybody's trying to get into EV and those types of vehicles, and so Tesla just saw the future. Warner Brothers is seeing the future here. There's a lot of backlash right now because filmmakers love the movie-going experience and what that means. But from a business perspective, Warner Brothers is thinking to themselves, why are we going to release this in theaters where we have to split revenue share with the theaters? Sure, movie theaters kind of get screwed in that whole thing as it is. But nonetheless, Warner Brothers and all these other companies are going to be thinking to themselves, okay, we can take all of the revenue share, not split it with someone else, because they own HBO Max. So it makes sense to me from a business perspective. It's unfortunate that it's one of those things where it's controversial right now, guys, but I think as time goes, you're going to see more and more come on the streaming services, and there's going to be more emphasis on that. Now, Villeneuve was not alone in the sentiment, with actors, creators, and other directors also critical of the company's decision. But while Dune will be released to the public in October, it will screen for critics before then. The film will have its world premiere on September 3rd at the Venice Film Festival, and will also screen at the Toronto International Film Festival as well. As far as the reviews are concerned, guys, Dune finally premiered at the 2021 Venice Film Festival, which means we finally have some good insight on what to expect from the film from folks who have seen it. So is Dune good? Does it live up to the source material, and do we have another misfire on our hands? Overall, the reviews out of Venice have been pretty glowing, with a few outliers. Collider's Steve Weintraub called the film a masterpiece, continuing everything about Dune works, from Hans Zimmer's amazing score to Greg Fraser's stunning cinematography to Bob Morgan and Jacqueline West's gorgeous costumes. Movie feels like they went to the other side of the galaxy and filmed what was really happening. You can see more of his thoughts, of course. But guys, there is a lot of praise for this movie. The film is currently sitting at 85% of Rotten Tomatoes, and like I said, guys, there's been a lot of people really, really like this film. And with good reason, guys. From the cast, Hans Zimmer, I believe, is the greatest composer of all time. You got Denis Villeneuve, who's one of the best directors right now in the industry. It's pretty awesome, guys. I'm very, very excited about this film. They got a stellar cast. And a lot of people are wondering, what can they see from the novel in this movie? What can they expect, right? The first trailer alone tells us a lot about which elements from the novel we can expect to see in the film. The opening shots in Paul's monologue hint at his prescient abilities to see the future, including the religious crusade that plays out over multiple books in the series. We can also expect a full display of the technology from the novels paraded on screen, as the film's trailer shows us the various shield defensives used by Atreides, along with their use of ornithopters for travel. The water recycling still suits worn by the Desert Freemen, coupled with their fully indigo blue eyes, are also true to the novels. Plus, audiences are sure to get their fill of fighting between feudal horses and lots of battles fought among Freeman warriors and Sardaukar super soldiers. So that is pretty awesome, guys. There's a lot here. And, you know, a lot of people are wondering, okay, just because Dune is already getting good reviews, it's going to probably do awesome as far as from a revenue perspective, whether it's on HBO Max, whether it's, you know, in theaters. Is there going to be a sequel? For the few filmmakers that have attempted to adapt Dune in the past, the results have been interesting. Eccentric director Alejandro Jodorowsky proposed an adaptation of the novel back in the 1970s with his version featuring Pink Floyd, a factoid that composer Hans Zimmer points to in the 2021 trailer. And allegedly, Charlotte Rampling dropped out of the role of Lady Jessica in Jodorowsky's adaptation due to a scene which would have involved thousands of defecating extras. So David Lynch's 1984 version of Frank Herbert's sci-fi epic is now known as a cult classic thanks to the "it's so bad, it's good" uniqueness of the film. Lynch's film starred Sean Young as Chani, with Young also starring in Blade Runner. So all this to say that taking on the Dune novel will be quite the endeavor. Villeneuve revealed that he only agreed to make Dune if he could split the story up into 2 films, and Dune 2 is absolutely in the works. Eric Roth, who co-wrote the Dune movie with Villeneuve and Spates, wrote a treatment for a Dune sequel when he developed the script for the first movie, but as far as he knows, Spates is the writer on Dune 2. That said, Villeneuve cast some doubt on the likelihood of a Dune sequel happening when it was announced that Warner Brothers would release the first film in theaters and on HBO Max at the same time. So, that being said, this is what he said, guys, streaming can produce great content, but not movies of Dune's scope and scale. Warner Brothers' decision means Dune won't have the chance to perform financially in order to be viable, and piracy will ultimately triumph. Warner Brothers might just have killed the Dune franchise. This one is for the fans. AT&T's John Stankey said that the streaming horse left the barn. In truth, the horse left the barn for the slaughterhouse. So, that being said, some tough things, you know, have to be said sometimes. And, you know, Denis Villeneuve is definitely one to, you know, is not shy to bring those things up. That being said, though, I got to tell you guys, Dune is something that I think could be very special. And I would love to see them do a potential sequel as well. I think there's so much to be excited about with this title for sure. A sequel, I think, is definitely something that could happen. Obviously, Warner Brothers is going to have to, you know, kind of butter up Denis Villeneuve to do a second one, to say the least. But what do you guys think about Dune? Are you guys really excited about it? What do you think about it as far as everything that we know up to this point? And do you think that they should make a second title, that being Dune 2? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more Dune content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of The 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.